What screams I have no life? Removed. Only ever talking badly about other people. Had some coworkers like this once and being around them 8 hours a day was fucking draining. The guy in my office who monitors how long everyone has been away from their computer. Calling cops on kids with a lemonade stand. Posting everything about your personal business and drama on social media. As a parent with kids in school, definitely the Facebook moms group. Trying to look tough on the internet. Being a mean girl ever but especially past high school. People who spend their days arguing with strangers on Facebook. I'm level 389 on Warzone 2. Constantly being on social media. Being the only guy ever offered extra shifts or hours because you never say no. Pretty much my life ATM. Hired a young guy, had zero experience, and his qualifications didn't match, but he seemed keen, likable, and just wanting a change. I could not get rid of him, always really early, always staying late. I reassured him that I didn't care for that as long as the work was done, he could just do the hours set. First red flag was that he wasn't looking forward to time off. He made it seem that he just didn't want to stick around at home, and never had any money. I tried to give him some ideas of cheap things to do, but it seemed like a burden to him. His mood was often all over the place, found out he was having more issues at home, now that he was working closer and spending more time there. It wasn't much longer that he quit, found some job far away. Turns out he was giving all his salary to his mum, who drank it. His life wasn't much of anything, sat at home dealing with her, or trying to give out with zero money then getting abuse when he returned. Spending almost every day bugging and harassing others for choices they made that's not hurting them or anyone else, like damn, do they not have places to be elsewhere? People who obsessively post their life/relationships on Instagram. What screams I was emotional abused as a child. Noticing every little behavioral change or any change in the pitch of somebody's voice. I also feel a constant sense of walking on eggshells around everybody. Not being able to have boundaries. Not being able to accept help. Anticipating why people are mad at you even when they haven't communicated they're mad. Being afraid to speak up about your interests out of fear of the other person judging and making fun of said interest as they don't like the same thing. My dad did this to me since I was 3. And he now wonders why I don't tell him anything. Hyper-independency. You have to become everything for yourself when you don't have someone to lean on. Not being able to tell how you feel or what you want because you learned that these things don't matter. Apologizing at every little thing when they didn't even do anything wrong, becoming distant or suddenly quiet and retreating around certain topics or when someone raises their voice, overall having a long history from a young age of low self-esteem or self-worth, and not wanting to do specific and super minor things, or inversely, not wanting to forget about small minor things that aren't that big of a deal for fear of getting yelled at. Just a few that can be very obvious signs to me since I myself have a few of these same issues. Incredibly anxious, perfectionists. Also, never expressing any emotion ever because as a child they got screamed at/shut down for it right away. Resulting in them not being able to feel or express emotions in a healthy way later in life. Hypervigilance. The elevated state of constantly assessing potential threats around you is often the result of a trauma. People who have been in combat, have survived abuse, or have post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, can exhibit hypervigilance. Edit, my first gold, thank you so much. Also if anyone is looking for guidance on healing PTSD from abuse, I highly recommend Pete Walker's book Complex PTSD, From Serving to Thriving. They don't seem to be able to regulate strong emotions. They're quick to check any excitement they might feel with some downer thought about how good things never last. They are unable to validate their own decisions and usually need to check with someone else to see if something is worth doing. Strong paralyzing indecision for fear of making a wrong choice, and getting punished. Zero self-esteem, your mind bullies you/insults you, you're paranoid of what people think about you, you're afraid to form relationships, friends or life partners, you have a hard time trusting people, you walk silently, you speak quietly, you automatically assume the worst in any situation, you can't stand up for yourself, you're socially awkward, you're never happy or content, you say yes to everything even if you don't want to do it, you agree with the bad things people say about you, you compare yourself to others then tell yourself you're worse/stupid/ugly/etc. compared to them. Can't take compliments. Deflects positive comments. Not being able to talk openly about what bothers you. Taking off your earbuds to hear what's going on outside of your room. Walking and doing pretty much anything as quiet as you can. Eating as fast as you can to avoid being yelled at during dinner. Getting faster and faster heartbeats whenever you hear a loud sound. Assuming every person who's acting like they care about them will eventually betray them. End number X200B. Wow, thanks for the awards. Obligatory. I wasn't expecting that, lol. I hope everyone reading this is actively looking for help / trying to become someone they can trust. I wish you all the best. Self-critical perfectionism in the idea that if you aren't good at everything then what good are you for? People of Reddit, what was your I'm dating a fucking idiot moment? He thought the outlet plug covers, for child-proofing, meant the outlet was out of order. He literally had nothing plugged into the walls of his entire living room. He also mentioned how smart he was any chance he got. Usually a prime indicator. He kept applying for jobs and getting denied instantly. At the time, I didn't understand and was upset for him. Come to find out, this 26-year-old was applying for jobs driving armored trucks for banks. With a record for stealing money from cash registers. I didn't know at the time that he had ever been arrested, but this man literally had robbery and theft on his record, and couldn't understand why an armored truck company wouldn't hire him. My ex didn't think it rained over the ocean because there was enough water there already. She was shocked it rained when we were on a cruise. How alcohol content percentage works. We argued for months that 10% as alcohol content remains the same even if you have the bottle. She said nope, if you have the bottle then the alcohol content would be 5%. Engineer graduate that too. She works for a software firm. For 12 years. Sigh. My ex thought he could play hockey and found what he thought were the holy grail of skates. He bought them for $200, I don't know the price as it was a long time ago. His friend, who lived in a city an hour and 20 minutes away, told him he got the same skates for $195. So my ex, in his old Camaro that cost $50 in gas round trip, returned the skates he got for $200 and drove 1 hour and 20 minutes to get the skates that were $5 cheaper. That should have been the biggest red flag. But sadly, it turned out I was the fucking idiot who stayed with him for a few more years. My first boyfriend was trying to convince me to do anal and told me it'll feel good because it stimulates the prostate. I'm female. Same guy, it's the male kangaroo that has the babies. Bonus fact, we're Australian. I had to explain to a grown woman that 20% is not always $20 when converted to currency. Was just lounging about one Sunday and skiing came on the TV. At one point the commentator said that contestants reached 100 km per hour at that point in the race. The ex literally shouted bullshit at the telly. I looked at her and asked why. She replied that there was no way that they could tell how far they'd go in an hour since the race was only 2 minutes long. Another time, I have an aunt who lives in London, is that near England? I introduced him to my stepsister. He said, weird, you guys look nothing alike. It was 1999 and I was a Marine. Her what is war like? How many wars have you fought in? When you jumped out of a plane in enemy territory didn't you think you might get showed down? She asked these questions for months. I would ask what war is going on or what war could I have been fighting in. She was always super confused and would laugh and say I will open up eventually. She told me she told her mom when I got out I was going to make tons of money as a parachute repairman. To this day I have no idea what she was talking about. I told her tons of times I never jumped and it was rare for Marines to be airborne. It was when vampire-related shows and movies were in the height of their popularity. He became obsessed with vampires. When we would go outside, he started to act like the sun was hurting him, and he would shield his face with his hands while groaning in pain. Think of Jim from The Office with his vampire prank, only he was more dramatic, and serious. He was trying to make cookies and kept opening the oven for extended periods of time, letting out all the heat. When I told him he was letting all the heat out by opening the door wide open and staring at the cookies, he told me I didn't know how ovens work because the temp setter said 400 so it was 400. Took an hour to bake one sheet of cookies and said I don't know why it's taking so long. Also insisted on doing this on Thanksgiving, tying up my oven and was pissed off when he found out the turkey would take 3 HRS to cook. As I'm sure you can imagine. Did not work out. Do you think getting drunk so often while I was pregnant was bad for him? She said this about her son who was 5 years old and had yet to speak a single word yet. She was not the primary caregiver. Deleted. When he left the window open in the middle of summer because the air conditioning made the house too cold. He didn't turn off the air conditioner and argued that it wouldn't have made a difference. Edit. I want to clarify that he argued having the window open wouldn't make a difference as to how much the AC ran. I got home and the house was warm and very humid. The AC had been running constantly.